Gemini moves like quicksilver through the human story, twin currents in a single river, bright at the surface and fathomless below. People praise the charm, the wit, the easy laughter. Yet those who linger long enough learn that this sign carries a storm lantern through tunnels most never dare to enter. Old seers wrote in veiled language about a double flame inside the twins, a light that heals and a heat that scorches. Read closely and you'll sense a pattern. Gemini unsettles the stale to restore the living. Gemini dissolves illusions while crafting new ones. Gemini is a paradox that remakes the world simply by stepping into it. If you've ever felt disoriented in their presence, strangely exposed yet somehow protected, you already know what the ancients meant. They spoke of air that cuts like glass, of breezes that carry messages, warnings, invitations. They insisted the twins were placed at the threshold between what is and what can't be named, authorized to translate one into the other. The translations are brilliant. They are also dangerous. Before we go deeper, breathe once and anchor yourself. This is a descent through mirrors. As we move, share your birth date and zodiac sign in the comments. Let Astro Gemini know who is traveling here with us, whose stories resonate, which skies you were born under, and if this journey speaks to your spirit. Subscribe to Astro Gemini now, so these messages find you again when the wind changes and you need direction. The double-edged gift of Gemini is never only one person. Two currents run through them, braided so tightly you can't tell where one begins or ends. One current charms, builds, invites. The other questions, unthreads, tests. This isn't fickleness, it's a cosmic design choice. They were built to compare, to counterpose, to hold contradictions long enough for truth to condense. When they lean into the bright current, they resurrect exhausted rooms, ideas bloom, leaders wake up, voices find courage. When they lean into the shadow current, they can dismantle a structure down to the studs in a single afternoon. The danger and the blessing are the same. They can do both at once. Smile with one hand, pull the seam with the other. To love them is to agree, silently, solemnly, to embrace sunrise and eclipse within the same hour. The tongue that shapes weather words are not just words for Gemini. They are climate. In their mouth a sentence becomes wind. A speech becomes a pressure system that reorients a crowd. Used with reverence, their language opens knotted hearts, names the courage people forgot they had, and turns confusion into a compass. Used carelessly, the same music can stir storms no one is ready to ride. Their phrasing lingers. Their metaphors seed clouds in other minds. A rumor uttered in curiosity can turn into thunder 3 cities away. This is why their ethics must be larger than their eloquence. Language is their instrument and their responsibility. The velvet mask Gemini rarely lies outright. They don't need to. They compose atmospheres. They tilt lighting. They place a mirror at just the right angle and let you see what you already wanted to see. More actor than imposter, more director than deceiver. They adapt not to hide their essence, but to survive and navigate. To learn your map so they can show you doors you missed. That same skill can soften truth until it's unrecognizable. If you feel dazzled, step back and ask, which part of this glow is theirs, and which part is my own longing reflecting back at me? 12. The soul mirror stand in front of a Gemini, and you may feel profoundly understood. They echo your tone, match your tempo, speak the shape of the question you couldn't form. It's medicine until it isn't. Their mirroring can become a honeyed spell. You fall in love with how seen you feel and forget to notice you are looking mostly at yourself. The twins don't always intend this. They're wired to reflect. But reflections can drain the viewer who never turns away. Love Gemini for their sight, not for the illusion that they are your missing half. They are a lake that shows you your face. Be sure you still recognize it when you leave the shore. The forbidden door curiosity is their compass. It points to closed archives, sealed boxes, passwords written in ash. Give them a rule, and they will ask who wrote it and for whose benefit. They are historians of the unsaid. That hunger has lifted veils and liberated truth. It has also woken sleeping mechanisms best left still. Not every lock is a prison. Some locks are guardians. When Gemini cuts the wire to see how the device works, consequences ripple far from the lab bench. Their courage needs a companion called restraint. Without it, wisdom can become wreckage, disguised as revelation. Beneath all of these facets, one thread hums. Gemini is change wearing a human face. If you sense that reality flexes when they enter, you're not imagining it. Keep your feet grounded. The air is about to move. Part 2 transformation is their native language, not a weekend workshop. Where others see continuity, Gemini sees gears and hinges. They note what must stay and what must be removed, then they test. If the test breaks something brittle, the twins don't panic. They collect the shards, examine them and build again, faster, better, stranger. This makes them laboratories with beating hearts. The restless reboot. The myth says air is gentle. The sky knows better. Air carves stone, carries fire, clears smoke after the blaze. So do the twins. They do not cling to fixed forms, jobs, creeds, friendships, self-concepts. To those who worship stability, Gemini looks disloyal. To those who worship growth, Gemini looks holy. Their motion disorganizes the neat shelves in your life, so you have to touch every object and ask, do I still need this? Renewal follows, but not without noise. Remember, storms cleanse by first unsettling. The seduction of direction. Their influence rarely arrives in commands. It hums in the suggestion that sparks behind your ribs after a conversation with them. A door you ignored whispers open. A path you denied begins to glow. Their charisma isn't only romantic, it is vocational, spiritual. They can tug your timeline 2 degrees to the left, and 3 years later, your life is somewhere, entirely new. If the tug aligned with your soul, you'll bless them. If it came from their curiosity rather than your calling, you'll wake one dawn and wonder how you wandered so far. They don't always mean to steer, but gravity rarely means anything. It simply pulls. The echo that outlives the voice. When Gemini bends a fact, even in play, the echo keeps traveling. Memory absorbs the sound, decisions reference the memory, and soon the echo becomes architecture. The twins, with their alchemical language, can turn a flimsy notion into a load-bearing beam if they repeat it in the right rhythm. That's why integrity is their true north. In a sign where ideas replicate at lightning speed, even a small distortion can breed a generation of errors. When they hold the line, though, truth spreads with the same velocity, colonizing the future with clarity. 7. The brilliant tempest. Their mind is a forge. Sparks everywhere. Projects multiply. Roads radiate out in all directions, and yesterday's insight already begs revision. This is how breakthroughs are born. An interior weather pattern so alive it refuses to accept the first solution or the second. But tempests topple too. Without discipline, their genius turns labyrinthine. People get lost in their plans. They themselves forget where the original doorway stands. When Gemini anchors their storm, through practice, through ritual, through commitments that can hold wind, the forge becomes a lighthouse rather than a wildfire. Pause and meet your own breath again. We're halfway through the labyrinth. If this serves you, tap like. Let the algorithm know to keep bringing this medicine to your path, and let your future self find it again when you need a reminder of your power. We continue. The custodians of sacred disorder. There is a holy kind of chaos, the compost that births the garden. Gemini is its gardener. They arrive at moments that have grown too clean, too smug, too certain, and they introduce oxygen. Old narratives crumble, fresh ones sprout. To the fearful, this looks like vandalism. To the brave, it looks like spring. The secret is timing and intent. Chaos for pleasure is cruelty. Chaos for renewal is service. The twins must remember which altar they pledge to, because both altars will receive them with open arms. The game board of fate-destiny isn't a straight road in Gemini's hands. It's a table with movable tiles. They slide pieces, propose trades, test scenarios in the theater of the mind and the market of real life. Opportunities appear that didn't exist 5 minutes before. The trickster archetype lives here, not as a villain, but as a reformer who knows systems break when no one dares to bend them. Still, every altered line on the board redraws consequences. The bill arrives eventually. If their moves honored the living web, payment feels like reciprocity. If not, the debt compounds with interest no one can afford. Part 3. The twins carry a bright surface that the world can't resist. Clever, quick, funny. But between the notes, a hum asks for depth. Without it, their gifts scatter like seeds on stone. With it, entire forests rise. The glitter of the shallow pool skimming is intoxicating. A new book, a new lover, a new idea. Gemini can sip them all in a week and glow with the reflected novelty. But a cup a day won't build a well. The danger isn't ignorance. They learn faster than most. The danger is dispersion. Mastery asks them to linger, to be bored, to repeat. When they accept this discipline, their brilliance gains bone. When they refuse, their portfolio looks dazzling and strangely empty. The remedy is simple and difficult. Choose and keep choosing until the river cuts a canyon. The irresistible field stand next to a microphone, and you amplify. Stand next to a Gemini and you become audible to yourself. Their enthusiasm is conductive. Their confidence, even when partially staged, lends you courage to try. They can assemble people like magnets falling into a pattern. Teams, movements, audiences who didn't know they needed a message until the twins spoke it. That field can restore dignity. It can also glamorize an unready path. Responsibility is the difference. When Gemini checks their motives and remembers the weight of their wattage, their magnetism writes symphonies. When they don't, it writes tragedies that look like symphonies until the third act. The star whisper, some messages are meant to be carried, not broadcast. Gemini hears them anyway. They dream in passwords and wake with riddles in their throat. As messengers, they ache to deliver, to say the quiet part out loud, to free the truth from its vault. But not every revelation liberates. Some truths are like raw ore. Smelted wrong, they poison. Tempered well, they become a blade that harvests and protects. The twins must cultivate discernment as fiercely as they cultivate expression. Silence in their hands becomes artistry. Timing a sacrament. What they do not say can be as holy as what they proclaim. Here at the 3/4 mark, look at the life you've built and the life that's calling. If this exploration is helping you align the two, press like so more seekers find their way to Gemini, and so the algorithm carries this light to the places where it's dim. The beautiful tension, the final truth, is not a curse. It is a covenant. Gemini is designed to hold opposites until a third thing is born. Light and shadow, permanence and flux, sincerity and theater. Each pair lives inside them, arguing, flirting, teaching. From the outside, this reads as inconsistency. From the soul's vantage, it's apprenticeship to wholeness. But apprenticeship is tiring. The twins will sometimes long to settle as one thing forever. They can't. Their vow is movement towards synthesis, not by erasing halves, but by letting them sing in harmony. When they forget, they fracture. When they remember, they become a bridge across the impossible. Part 4 now. Gather the threads and weave them into something useful for the heart. Gemini's dual current empowers them to critique the world and to mend it. Their weather-making tongue can curse or consecrate. Their velvet mask can charm and confuse. Their mirror can heal and hollow. Their thirst for hidden rooms can rescue buried wisdom or unbottle spirits better left asleep. Their restlessness breaks stale altars and builds new chapels. Their persuasion can restore you to your path or carry you miles from it. Their echoes last longer than their presence, for good or for harm. Their tempest mind can invent a future or lose itself in its own maze. Their stewardship of sacred disorder fertilizes the soil after fire. Their game with fate opens playfields and opens debts. Their temptation to skim robs depth. Their magnetism writes anthems and sometimes elegies. Their star whisper teaches restraint. Their eternal tension teaches endurance. So what does wisdom ask of the twins and of those who love them? It asks Gemini to make oaths with themselves, to treat language as medicine, not bait, to swap spectacle for sincerity when the moment is holy, to choose one garden each season and tend it past the point where novelty fades, to pause at doors that hum with danger and ask, am I strong enough to carry what lies behind this? It asks them to build containers, a practice, a mentor, a community, a calendar that can hold their storm without smothering its genius. It asks them to remember that fun has a cost and that they are wealthy. They can afford to pay with honesty. It asks the rest of us to meet them with clarity. Don't outsource your compass to their charm. Take the inspiration and still check with your bones. If you feel seen, say thank you, and then turn from the mirror and walk as yourself. If a rumor they tossed like confetti begins to harden into belief, test it before you build with it. And when they bring sacred disorder to your doorstep, look for the seed packet in the rubble. Growth arrives dressed like endings. If this message resonates, subscribe to Gemini. Let your feed become a constellation that guides you back when the world grows loud. And you need a voice that speaks in symbols your heart remembers. And if you felt a spark of recognition anywhere along this path, tell us your birth date and your zodiac sign in the comments. That simple ritual turns a monologue into a chorus and lets our sky map itself through you. Before we part, press like as a way of choosing your own renewal, an affirmation that you welcome truthful winds and will anchor yourself with care when they blow. At the closing of this circle, like this video, subscribe to Gemini and carry one sentence with you into the week. I can hold two truths without breaking, and from their union, I will make a third. If you want to hear everything the universe has to say to you, watch these other videos on our channel.